Good morning and welcome to Funky Rainbow. It's been a long, long time since we've hosted a book bazaar, and it gives us absolute pleasure to be here this morning, back again with a new season of Book Bazaar. I can see an old friend and a wonderful supporter, Joanne Saldana, right here this morning saying, "Good morning, Funkies, and congratulations on season 5. Thank you so much for getting us here, Joanne, and everybody else who's watching on YouTube and Instagram and on Facebook. It's such a pleasure to be back. It's such a pleasure to get the buzz back into our independent bookstore on a Saturday morning. We've missed this too much, but there was just too many things going on. I mean, all the things that make up the running of a bookstore, right? I mean, inventory and stock taking, MIS. We ported to a new MIS system, and it was, gosh, such a nightmare, but we're relieved to be back in our comfort zone, doing exactly what we love to do, introducing the best of Indian children's books to all of you, and being in conversation with some of the most wonderful creators in the Indian children's kidlit space. Preeti Ramchandran, so lovely to see you here. Good morning, you say to Team FR. It's so good to be back at the bazaar. The feeling is utterly and absolutely mutual, Preeti Ramchandran. We are just so delighted to be back here today. And of course, we wanted to make like a really, really city bang bang start, and we have with us as guests today two wonderful creators of books whom I will introduce in the course of the show. But what is wonderful about the book that they've written is it's so much a need of the times. In fact, our entire bazaar is simply based on this wonderful book that both Swati Roy and Venkatesh Swami have created, called The Time Has Come. It's such a lovely book. It says, the time has come, a story for the future, picking for it the theme of livable cities and child friendly cities. There couldn't be a more timely book, I think, for us, and an unusual one in the Indian children's literature space. We will, of course, talk to them later in the show today, but I want to say that The Time Has Come is entirely the basis for the recommendations at the bazaar today. And the thing is, this book available at a lovely discount on www.funkyrainbow.com. It's available at a 15% discount once the show is done. And if you think it is something that would interest you and your children, and I believe it really will, you must consider picking it up from us. So, of course, the broad theme of the bazaar today is cities. I mean, what are our cities? I mean, are our cities child-friendly places? Are our cities livable? And I know many of you who join us from Madras, join us from Hyderabad, join us from Gurgaon, from Delhi. Are our cities really livable? I mean, are our children growing up in safe and secure environments in the city? Do they have access to clean air, clean water, and basic services like healthcare and education? Can they live, learn, play, and grow in a place where their voices are heard too? I think it's such a relevant theme for the times, given that a lot of children today have empowered themselves to be change makers. In fact, the future of our world, we always believe, absolutely rests in their hands. They come up with the most creative ideas, the most exciting ideas to innovate, to change, and to make our world a better place. So, what makes a city truly child friendly? I mean, we're going to introduce to you children's books, Indian children's books that have ideas and suggestions that, perhaps people can take into consideration to ensure that our cities become a better place for kids. And it gives me, immense pleasure to say that Swati and Venkatesh's wonderfully interactive book. The interactive book has tons of questions. I mean, I love the way it's been illustrated and designed, and I'm sure we'll hear about this from them very soon, a little later in the show. They have some excellent thought provoking questions for children. I mean, besides lovely fact boxes and bits and bytes of information that are interwoven into this story, they have some excellent answer this questions, and I'm pointing that out to you in the book. You can see those little segments that say answer this, and I mean, all our recommendations are attempts to see if these questions can get answered. Arunji, so lovely that you're joining us from Hyderabad. We're just delighted that people from different cities, and I hope little towns too, joining us. Divya Menon saying, and it's Avyukt in saying good morning everyone, it's so nice to see you at the bazaar. Thank you for starting the bazaar again. We were absolutely bored without it. The feeling is mutual, my dear child. It's such a pleasure to be back here hosting the bazaar, interacting with young people like you who absolutely have made it possible for us to get to season 5. I mean, it's 18th of June. We have completed 2 years of the bazaar. We started on 23rd May, 2020, when the pandemic hit us, and it's the 18th of June, 2022. So full kudos to all of you for cheering us on from the sidelines and keeping this show going for a good 2 years. You know how much that means to an independent bookstore and to all the creators of these books. So many of you saying hello: Smita Nair, Archana Atri, Tara Veeraraghavan. We're just delighted to see all of you. I was just explaining my premise. We've got a lot of city books in the bazaar. I mean, let's go to Mumbai, and let's go to Delhi, and let's go to Kolkata and Jaipur. We have Jerry Pinto's lovely book called Talk of the Town, on different Indian cities and stories of different Indian cities. But today, we're not recommending those books. We're not recommending straightforward city books, although the theme of the bazaar is cities. We are recommending books based on Swati Roy and Venkatesh Swami's wonderful new book called The Time Has Come, a story for the future, which is all about child-friendly and livable cities. Jyoti Narayan, what a pleasure to see you here. And, you're congratulating us on the start of season 5. Arunji saying, glad to see that, we are keeping the show going. All thanks to all of you. So, of course, I'm going to begin by saying that children are so integral to the fabric of our communities, right? I mean, at various levels, decisions that adults make keep future generations in mind, but rarely do we take into account the voices of children in this decision making process. And child friendly cities, and there is this whole concept of child friendly cities, which you will discover in the book, where globally several countries in the world have tried to create child friendly cities. These are the cities that put children at the heart of everything they do. And it's so lovely that Swati and Venki have this fantastic book that brings this to the forefront. I mean, it is a story of two good friends. I mean, two young boys, one of whom has to shift to another city from the one that he's living, but they beautifully bring the concept of empowering children to make their cities better places to live in. Now, amongst the first pointers that they have in the book is a city that is safe for walking, for cycling, for playing. I mean, how relevant. How many of us remember our childhoods doing just this? I mean, cycling down the road in gay abandon, not bothering about whether there's going to be traffic, or whether you're going to be hit by an oncoming vehicle. I think it's so important that children have spaces to play and to walk and to just amble around, just to saunter here and there without worrying, are our cities safe for that? So my first recommendation this morning is this wonderful book that we just love at Funky Rainbow called Pishi and Me. This is by Timira Gupta, written by Timira Gupta and illustrated by Rajiv Aip. What is it all about? There's a little boy called Chutku who returns from a walk with his aunt. And I just love the way that walking has been illustrated by Rajiv Aip. He returns, I mean, he goes on a walk with his aunt, his Pishi, and he returns with pockets full of treasures and stories. The story is, of course, narrated from the child's point of view. It is indeed a heartwarming, story of a relationship between a nephew and his aunt, but we just love the fact that aunt and nephew can amble around so happily in their neighborhood. They can just walk safely and happily. This one's published by Pratham, priced at 55 rupees. I mean, we have multiple books on all these themes. We have lovely books on these themes, multiple titles, but for in the interest of time, we can only make recommendations for one or two of these of titles on particular themes. So do look through what we put into our Buzzaar link. That's www.funkyrainbow.com. Click on the tab that says Book Bazaar. A drop down menu will take you to season 5. Click on season 5, and the first one will say cities. Lots of books in there, but just a few that we can talk about. Timira, of course, so many fans for Timira. Jyoti Narayan saying, Joanne saying, both Timira's books are absolutely priceless. I know Goplu's Train Ride, such a fantastic book. Apurva Ashok, we are delighted to see you at the Bazaar. It is so lovely to have friends who have bought books from us across the years and now are recommending and running book clubs to take the love of books further and to more and more people. Wonderful work that you're doing, Apurva. It's such a pleasure that you are picking Indian books and taking that to more parents, more teachers, and more librarians. There is one on cycling which I utterly love. I mean, there are other books like Kalpana's Cycle and stuff like that, but this one, The Bicycle by Pavanan, I mean, a Tamil writer called Pavanan. So this picture book is in translation, published by Katha, is such a lovely book. It's about a young man who, decides to one day just stop working and take a cycle and ride to another town. In the other town, he meets a lively young boy, and his stories, when he tells him stories about traveling far and wide, the boy is utterly enchanted and dreams of cycling away to distant lands himself. What is this story all about? It's such a it's such a heartwarming story of kindness, but there is just something about the illustrations, by Ayushi Rajvanshi and Mohit Srivastava, that brings about that sort of brings alive the joy of cycling carefreely, in a carefree manner, from one town to the other. This one published by Katha, priced at 120 rupees. And of course, I can see Rupa Baliga here. Good morning. How lovely that you're here at the Bazaar, as well as Sunila Kulkarni Gupta. So happy to be, that you are here this morning. So happy to be back recommending books. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for supporting us so wholeheartedly and enthusiastically. Rupa Baliga saying, what a lovely book this is, The Bicycle. I got this when N just started cycling a few years ago, and it was so much more of a joy. The best way possible to introduce books to readers, make it relevant to some context, something in their life that's going on. And my third recommendation on playing, spaces for playing. I mean, how many of us worry about where our children are going to go and play? I mean, I think a lot of them often are just playing on their devices and gadgets, basically, right? But we have this one which covers two themes. I mean, it is about playing, but it is also about an autistic child, an autistic child finding a place to play. Kayu's World is Round by Lavanya Kapahi and Aditi Diore. Such a lovely book about a little boy called Kayu who loved to draw things in circles. I mean, so you know what he likes? He likes the wheels of a cycle, a merry-go-round, a spinning top. But he's a quiet boy and lives in his own world. I mean, drawing circles. And what happens? Do the children in his neighborhood like to play with him? Do the children, in his community include him in their games? Yes, a game of cricket absolutely does something so special, something so wonderful, that brings Caillou and his friends together. I'm not going to give away what happens and what they do, but it's a lovely book published by Tulika, priced at 175 rupees. So, a theme, I mean, a book that brings together the theme of playing, community spaces for playing, and the fact that a city that includes everybody. I mean, are there spaces in our cities to be inclusive? Can everyone feel safe? Can everyone have places to play? Can everybody amble around, go for a walk and do what they want to do? This one bringing those themes together. Of course, we did say that this is a new Buzzaar season. So we have introduced a new feature called Guess Appearance. So we're going to have three questions across the time span between 11 and 12 a.m. Three questions, all of which have only one answer. Now, I'm going to, we're going to show you three questions, one, right now, one about 20 minutes later, and one closer to the time that our guests join us. That's at 12 o'clock. We are going to show out these questions to you, and you've got to guess. I mean, it's called Guess Appearance, the quiz. So you've got to guess. It could be a book, it could be a personality, it could just about be anything. You've got to guess it, and you've got to give us the answers. Just a quick check: is there a Google form for everyone to fill? It'll be put up later. Okay, so there is going to be a Google form that we will put up later, or at the moment we can just have you guessing right here, but we will not give you the answer. You have to click the Google form that we'll put up, post the Buzzaar on our social media pages, and type in your answers. The first one to get the right answer on the Google form, not here, will win an exciting voucher from Funky Rainbow. There's going to be one winner and two consolation prizes, definitely. So, Guess Appearance, here it comes. Okay, that was it. Clue number one. For our friends on Instagram, I'm not sure you can see that. So I'm going to call it out to you. It's a quote that we put out. If working apart, we are a force powerful enough to destabilize our planet. Surely, working together, we are powerful enough to save it. Who said this? You don't need to guess here. We will put up a Google form on our social media pages just after the Buzzaar is done. Fill it in there, and the person who has the correct answer first gets give a voucher, a book voucher from Funky Rainbow, two consolation prizes as well. So guest appearance, clue number one, a quote. There are two more clues that will come up in another 15 minutes. There will be one, and 15 minutes later another one. So we come back to our recommendations, and I can see Jyoti Narayan saying the new feature sounds interesting. I'm looking forward to it. We are too, really. So, like I said, all the recommendations that we're making today, based on Swati Roy and Venkatesh Swami's wonderful new book, The Time Has Come, a story for the future about, child-friendly, livable cities. What can children do? Can we empower them to create better spaces for all of us to live in? And it's a wonderfully interactive book. I mean, it is a story. It is the story of two friends, but there are these excellent fact boxes in the book, bits and bytes of really exciting information on cities, on different things that go into the making of cities. And there are some very pertinent questions for the readers as well. I mean, so it's not a book that you're just going to read passively. Like, you see, they have this answer this segment, I mean, answer this questions over here, which are meant for the readers to answer. And when you do, as you progress across the book, there are many pointers. There's a lot of information that you will get once you answer these questions. Now, we have based all our recommendations on these questions. Now, of course, I mean, what the ones that we finished were on cycling, on walking spaces for cycling, for walking, and for playing. And this one, playing facilities in our neighborhood can also be used by children with physical disabilities. Well, we put we put the book Kayu's World is Round, which is about a child who has autism. The next one, and I just love this question because we have several books in the Indian children's literature space, which is, I participate enthusiastically in projects in our community that promise a change. It is so important. The child-friendly cities across the world absolutely focusing on giving a space for children's voices to be heard. What changes would they like to see in their cities? Can they be involved in civic matters, that civic authorities discuss to make changes in the cities? The answer is a resounding yes, because often they come up with the best ideas for what can make cities more livable. Vijay Lakshmi Nagraj, hi team Funky Rainbow, you say, so happy to be here today, so delighted that you have joined us, always supporting us in everything that we do. Now, about the book that that we've chosen, about children participating enthusiastically in projects, we have this one called Kamala and Maya's Big Idea, written by Mina Harris and illustrated by Ana Ramirez Gonzalez. It's a lovely book. I mean, you can see wonderfully illustrated. It's a book that really, highlights a very important lesson. If you're willing to be the change that you wish to see, no dream, no change is impossible to make. And I think that's a message that resounds absolutely right through The Time Has Come, the book that is the focus of our bazaar today. Here there are, two little girls who absolutely want to transform their neighborhood into a livable space for children, for adults, for elderly, for disabled. But how do they set about doing this? I mean, how can they go about? How can young children actually be agents of change? I mean, it is unbelievable how this inspiring story shows, that when adults cooperate, when children imagine, nothing, just nothing, can stop us from becoming seeing what we really want to see. This one, of course, I mean, it's about turning. And I mean, the children live in an apartment, and in an apartment building, and the landlord there wants them all to move out. He wants to use it for something else. But what they do, they agree, and they understand that the building has become old and they do need to move out of there, but they don't want it to become another site for the construction of a huge building. Instead, they want to turn it into a playground and into a community space. Is this possible? Can the children come together to make a difference? It's a lovely book published by HarperCollins, priced at 599 rupees. We do have, I mean, I'm sure many of you are familiar with The Miracle on Sundarbag Street by Nandita Dukuna, about a little girl whose teacher inspires her to absolutely change. A way, like a place filled with garbage, into a lovely community space for the people living there. Lots of books on this theme in our bazaar today, but we are, of course, recommending just one book here. The next question that Swati and Venki ask so pertinently in the book is about public transportation. How many of us take public transportation? I mean, lots of people in cities, cities that have good public transport systems, find that people are able to use it. I mean, it's just so much better than getting into your car or getting on your bike and going from one place to the other. If there is a good public transport system, cities are just transformed. You can travel from one space to the other without worrying about how you're going to get there, or taking your giant car and increasing the carbon footprint of the planet. So there is a lovely book that we are recommending on this theme, which is, of course, set in the city that Swati and Venki are based in. This one is called On the Metro, published by Pratham Books, which is about a little girl called Zeba and her Abu, her father. I can see Arunji saying, I only use public transport. I mean, hats off to you, sir. Truly, and we know that's true. You visited us at Funky Rainbow. I mean, and I know you did check what was the easiest way to get to our office. I mean, it's remarkable. If cities provide that for their citizens, for the people living in the city, there can be no better way to get around and discover your city. I mean, of course, he says, except public transport that doesn't reach the places that I want to visit. And I'm sure there are some in every city. But this one, just harking back to the book that we were recommending about Zeba and her Abu, who are off to see the Qutub Minar. And what do? They are taking the Delhi metro. And I've got to say, every single time we visit Delhi, the team at Funky Rainbow just absolutely loves to hop on the metro and get to different places. I mean, the city is so wonderfully connected. We hope Bangalore, our city, will get there soon. We have a couple of metro lines, but the city is not entirely connected. At the moment. In fact, we dream that there will be a time when we can take all our books, all our tubs full of books, get on a metro and get to the place where the event is happening. So what happens to Zeba and Abu in this book? They are getting on the metro, they are hopping on, seeing the different sights in around them as they go in the metro. And what do you do as the reader? You ride with them. There's a wonderful surprise in this book. Who is the driver of the metro train? I'm not giving that one away, really, but this wonderfully, and look at the size of the book. It's just lovely. It opens out in this nice large format, like this. So you really get the feeling of riding on a metro train. This one published by Pratham, priced at 200 rupees. Our next book, a really, really important one, about public toilets. Gosh, I mean, what a problem it is in most spaces, right? I mean, are there enough public toilets in our country? The answer is no, but we've got to be able to change that. We've got to do something to change that for sure. What is it that we can do? I mean, we've got to think. I mean, there are, Sulabh Shauchalayas in different, parts of the country in India, but are they enough? I mean, why is it that, I mean, a classic statement for most of us when we're leaving somewhere, especially lots of women, is that just use the loo before we get out, because we don't know where we're going to find the next loo, really. And the recommendation that we have, on this is a book that reflects a concern exactly like that. I need to pee. I know many of you are familiar with that book, and it's perhaps one of the only ones in this space about a young girl who needs to pee. Where is she going to pee? I mean, these are things that make cities more livable. If we have these spaces, if you can go off to a park, you can have a picnic in a park. Incidentally, today is World Picnic Day. One of my colleagues reminded me that it's World Picnic Day today. And if you had to head off to the park and have a picnic there and a wonderful Saturday, relaxing in the midst of greenery, your city has to provide that for you. There's got to be a park. There's got to be, a greenery in your city. There's got to be a loo. There's got to be places where you can dispose garbage. And we have to be able to make that change to our city, to make the public spaces accessible to everyone who wants to use it. And what's wonderful is that the time has come, truly its protagonists learn how to do this in the course of the lovely story written by Swati Roy and Venkatesh Swami. Arunji saying, I Need to Pee is an amazing book. It is indeed an amazing book. My colleague Bharti reminds me that it's time for the second guest appearance question. And is this a visual clue, Sham? Okay, so this is the second question in guest appearance. The second clue, the answer is just one. It's just, one thing, the same answer across all three clues. So we are sharing the second one with you. For our friends on Instagram, I'm afraid we can't show you that visual, but it's for our, friends on Facebook and YouTube who can see this. So that was clue number two. Okay, the picture of someone, and I'm sorry for our friends on Instagram, we don't even have, a print of that picture, and it's not possible for us to print that one. Maybe we can, put it up after the show is done and ask people to guess, but my apologies, we're not able to integrate Instagram into this live stream. Hopefully one day we will be able to do that, or at least afford to do that, basically. So that was the second question. The answer is the same. We have one more clue that will come up 15 minutes later. I'm going to continue with some more recommendations. And the next question that, the book highlights is about, I mean, after traveling in a metro or a bus, the next one is on public toilets, of course, which we finished. And my community has no tolerance for garbage and dirt on the streets. Yes or no? So we have, I mean, and of course the book moves on. I'm not going to give away all the questions because you just have to pick up this wonderfully interactive book. I think all children, 7+, 8+, I mean, if your children are younger, pick it up and read it to them. All adults who definitely need to participate in the interactivity too, because You are the agents of change. All of us are the agents of change. And of course, the time has come. The lovely thing that the book has done is that at the end of the book, there is the TTHC manifesto, the TTHC manifesto, the time has come manifesto, which outlines wonderful things that we should do, principles that children and adults need to stand by in order to make our cities better places to live in. And of course, here, for them to become members of TTHC. So you get a sense of what interactivity the book has when I tell you becoming members of TTHC, because the adults, the authors of the book, are indeed listening, and you can become a member of the TTHC and write in to them. So they have not I mean, one of the manifestos in the book is to keep our water bodies clean, because we should not waste water. We should have safe drinking water. And for that, the recommendation that we have is this lovely book called Ammu's Bottle Boat, which is about a young girl. Archana Atri says, can we respond to the clues here now? You're free to respond, but the winners will be picked only by the Google form that we will put up once the bazaar is over. You need to fill in that Google form, and the one who gets the answer first on the Google form will get a book voucher from Funky Rainbow, 2 consolation prizes as well. So keep that going, folks. Keep the guessing going. You can, of course, put out your answer over here if you'd want to, but my suggestion is leave it for the Google document. Ammu's Bottle Boat, written by Nivedita Subramaniam and illustrated by Oindri Chakrabarti, about a little girl called Ammu who just chucks a plastic bottle, lets it adrift in the little stream in her city. What happens? What happens to that plastic bottle that floats and bobs along the stream? Have many dangers been set adrift? What could possibly happen? She, of course, makes a boat. She's playing and she makes a boat and she lets this go adrift in the stream, in the city, and then, of course, forgets about it and goes away. But alas and alack, the plastic bottle, what happens to it? What happens to the sea creatures? Is it likely to end up in the belly of a whale? Or is there a fish or a seal that's going to eat up this, to chew on this plastic? What really happens? Excellent illustrative style, which is much like the Japanese Gyotoku style, where of course, Oindri has done a clever spin on it. She has taken plastic objects and made those beautiful seals, which demonstrate what happens to the plastic bottle. Very nice use of a traditional art style in a contemporary picture book for children, and absolutely works for very young readers, 3-4 plus itself, who will enjoy this story and understand what happens to modern trash. Our next recommendation is to not waste water, not waste electricity. My God, how much. I've come away to another room over here, leave the lights and fans on in the other room, leave something else on in the other room. These are not perennial resources. What can we do? What can our children do? And how can we live modern lives where everything is getting charged? I mean, there are hundreds of devices that need to be connected. How do you conserve electricity? Well, Terry does have a book for you called Green Gadgets, not asking you to abandon, the use of gadgets altogether, but to pick and choose green gadgets. What a lovely idea it is. I mean, we know sleek, snazzy companions these gadgets are, whether it's your computer, whether it's your phone, whether it's any device that you're using. There are toxic components inside each and every one of these gadgets. How can we go green while using them? Is there a way to use them more sensitively, more sensibly, and reduce our energy? I mean, reduce the consumption, this inordinate consumption of energy that our modern lives make us do. And there are eco-friendly alternatives as well. So this is a book, I mean, it's a book of nonfiction, of course. So, about air conditioners being not so cool. What can you do? How can you? I mean, the book shows you eco-friendly, energy efficient alternatives to almost all gadgets that we use in our modern life. This one, priced at 250 rupees, published by Terry. And I can see Arun saying, A Cloud of Trash is a good book. Indeed, A Cloud of Trash, a lovely picture book about, how all the trash becomes one giant mass. And then, what happens. It is a good book on garbage and trash, and why we need to segregate it, and why we need to consume less so we dispose of less as well. The next theme, and it's a theme that resonates very closely with the team at Funky Rainbow. I know Muttama, who's not here this morning with us today, but absolutely has her heart out with creatures great and small. The one of the manifestos in the book, Swati and Venki's book, is be kind to animals, especially strays. Haripriya Batula, how lovely to see you here this morning. So delighted that you've joined us. You say Terry has a wonderful collection for children. Yes, some of them available at Funky Rainbow. And we picked this one. I mean, almost all the books focusing on the environment entirely and different aspects of it. Lovely, collection of books from Terry. And we do have some of them at Funky Rainbow. But back to the theme of strays and this new book in our collection, which must absolutely be in all your homes, in all your hands, with so many children reading it, is Rajiv Ipe's Dugga. I just love this wordless comic graphic novel. Who is Dugga? You know who Dugga is. How come his days are full of exciting things to see and incredible things to sniff? Duga, she sleeps, she eats and plays just like a happy dog. But, one day, Duga's life just turns upside down. It's terribly bewildering. And what happens? What turns Duga's life upside down? How, can human empathy, can human care, can human kindness help Dugga out of the bewildering situation that she finds herself in? Rajiv Ipe's illustrations bringing alive the city, bringing alive Dugga so beautifully. It's based on, and I know that Rajiv and his wife Archana, absolutely huge adopters of stray dogs and stray cats, and doing a lot to assist animals everywhere and in any way that they can. So Dugga is actually based on the real life story of Dugga the dog, who was found severely injured on the streets of Bangalore, but then rehabilitated by some wonderful human beings. And I always suspect, and I know this is something that I'm just sharing with all of you who know, who know Rajiv. I always suspect that the heroines of his book look very much like his wife, Archana. Now, for those of you who know Archana as well, write in and tell me if you really think that that this is Archana in Rajiv's book. Shruti Sri Raghunath, how lovely to see you here this morning. You say these illustrations are beautiful. They really do. Rajiv has the ability to draw in, readers so beautifully through his illustrations. So, and that theme, and there are several other books. There's My City, My Dogs. There is Farida Plans a Feast. There are just so many books on taking care of strays in the Buzzaar. So again, www.funkyrainbow.com bookwithbuzzaar.com. Click on the tab that says Book Bazaar. There's a drop down menu that says Season 5, and absolutely you can click on that tab. It'll take you to a collection of books on cities. Like I said, there are all the straightforward city books: Bangalore, Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, the names of cities, the A to Z of cities. But we are recommending today books that are entirely themed on things to think about, that Swati and Venki have put up on in their new children's book on child-friendly, livable cities. Muttama, so lovely to see you joining in across the screen, although it would have been a lot better if you were there. You say Bangalore City has amazing spaces for adoption and rescue. It has its heart in the right place. Of course, so do you, and so does the city. There are, I don't know how much time we have left, because we have one more question and we would like to invite the guest of the day. So I'm just going to stick to two quick recommendations. I mean, Sham, I'm going to move forward. There is one called Clean Up, but you can take a look at it. You already know what it's all about, Clean Up. The two books that I'm going to recommend are How Safe Do You Feel in Your City? Whether you're a child, whether you're an adult, whether you're an older person, whether you're a disabled person, a woman, anyone, how safe do you feel in your city? There is an excellent book that came out recently called The Safe Book. And, we recommend this for older kids. And I mean, not particularly, only young adult children. I think, even at 11, 12, you can be reading this, definitely for all parents, about 81 super important questions answered about your safety. And there are segments that are so relevant. I mean, we were looking through this last week, and, what do you do when there's a fire? How do you stay safe at home? What about electricity? What happens when you're on the road? Safety checklist for eating food off the streets, the internet, the outdoors, natural disasters, and several general, questions and answers on various things to do to stay safe in different situations. It's quite easy to follow. There are little illustrations. And and I think what is lovely when I was reading the book is to understand how you can take care without really having to simply think about how to take care. If you incorporate some of these steps, in the if you incorporate some of these steps in your everyday life, just make it a part of your routine, there are ways to absolutely stay safe. And I do know that the time has come, raises issues of safety. So we have the Safe Book, published by Hachette, recommended for 10, 11 plus year olds, on 81 super important questions answered about your safety. Of course, I can see Muttama saying a big shout out to the Ugly Indian in Nammauru, Bengaluru, who is a cleanup specialist of the city. Absolutely a fantastic city initiative. If you have a chance, go check this website called The Ugly Indian and see the wonderful work that they are doing to keep our city clean, to keep our in fact, they had a superb initiative some years ago. The pandemic did impact all of this, where you could sponsor a garbage bin, and those bins were called Tere Bin. We could not do anything without those important garbage bins where we can segregate garbage. So that's a lovely pointer. Shruti Sri Raghunath saying, I'm loving this recommendation. It would be a great book for 10 plus year olds. My last recommendation, and the one that I personally love the most in Swati and Venki's book, is this excellent question towards the very end of the book. And of course, a shout out to the illustrator of the book, Priyankar Gupta, as well, who has these lovely illustrations. Is, do you have a well-stocked library in your neighborhood? I'd say, do you have a well-stocked library or an independent children's bookstore in your neighborhood? What a lovely question. I'm so glad you included it, because no change in the world is possible without books. And my quick recommendation for this, a book that I have to say that Swati and Venki are connected with in another way, for me at least, Book Uncle and Me by Uma Krishnaswamy, who lives in the US, but who visited Buckaroo, the festival that the two of them are founders of. I have my autographed copy of Uncle and Me, thanks to Buckaroo. It's really got to be one of my most favorite books at Funky Rainbow. Book Uncle and Me, written by Uma Krishnaswamy, illustrated by the wonderful Priya Kurian, about a little girl called Yasmin who intends to read a book every day of her life. And where does she get those books from? From a little footpath library that Book Uncle runs. But one fine day, there is, a crisis. It doesn't look like Book Uncle can sustain this free footpath library in any way. What can Yasmin do? Well, she has to take her nose out of a book for one, and she has to deal with some annoying adults who are trying to do all kinds of other things on the footpath. How do her friends come together? How does she come together? Can they save Book Uncle's library? So beautifully written in verse by Uma Krishnaswamy. It's truly a wonderful book for all children. And like I said, a big thank you to Swati and Venki for putting this point about community libraries and free libraries, and I'd say, if possible, an independent bookstore as well, which also they run in Delhi, India. I'm so glad that this came into the picture. Archana Atri saying, would you recommend Little Rainmaker here? Yes, absolutely. A city in the future and a little girl working on the environment crisis. It's already up in our collection in the Buzzaar. We only choose one or two books to recommend, but absolutely fits the theme, because the girl whose grandfather wants to see the rain and she wants to bring it, because in this futuristic world, there is no rain at all. And what does she do to make that possible? Joanne Saldana, one of my absolute favorites. I know you're recommending to, referring to Book Uncle and Me. You say, love that that children hold the power of change in their hands in this book. It's an absolute stellar read. It really is. It would count in my top 10 reads at Funky Rainbow for sure. Priced at 215 rupees. All these books up in our collection. And before we invite the guests for the day, the last guest appearance question. And so, I can see Bharti sort of waving it out to me saying, don't forget the last guest appearance question. This time it's an audio clue. So listen in. And I hope our friends at Instagram can listen in as well now when this audio clue comes up.
It's a crucial moment in our history. This could be a year for positive change, for ourselves, for our planet, and for the wonderful creatures with which we share it.
And that's done. I'm not sure our friends on Instagram could hear it. I'm really sorry about that. We will put it up after the bazaar is done. We will put out all three questions just so that you get a chance to participate in the quiz as well. The Google form will be in there as well. Please click and send in your responses. Greenlit Fest, we are delighted to see you here. You're saying that what a lovely way of imagining cities, not just as ecology, but also as bookstores and libraries. How very wonderful. Avyuk is saying, now I know who it is. That's why we put the audio clue in last. It's a dead giveaway. Shruti Sri Raghunath saying, that's the most iconic voice. Muttama saying, and what a voice. Joanne saying, the voice belongs only to one person. And if there was any doubt, it's all gone away. But yes, we will put up the Google form after the bazaar. So just wait and watch and fill it in. And we are now ready to absolutely say hello to our guests for the day, who are here. But before that, we're going to have to, invite them up on Instagram. So, people on Instagram as well, our followers on Instagram can watch the conversation. Sunila Kulkarni saying yes to Joanne and others as well. Annapurna Das, so lovely to see you in the show this morning. Yes, please give us a minute while all the technology confounds us. It doesn't confound us. Gray stroke. Are they live? But we're not live with them, are we? No. Okay, so if you put us live, only then I can communicate.
Here's the request. We are live now.
Thank you. How very delightful. First, a big round of applause to our wonderful guests, Swati Roy and Venkatesh Swami, who have launched 1,000 books, I'm sure, or maybe 10,000 books in the course of their work as founders of Buckaroo, the Multi-City Children's Literature Festival, and of Eureka, which we're delighted to see in the background, a specialist children's bookstore that they set up 19 years ago and is now back in a new avatar. And of course, they are here today because of their brand new avatar, which is as authors and publishers of The Time Has Come, A Story for the Future. I want all of you to put your hands together, all our guests. Okay, Swati and Venki, you haven't accepted our Instagram invite.
Where is it?
Where is it?
Has it come?
No. We can't see it.
Will you send it again? So Shyam only has to get up and send it while he's monitoring something at the other end. Okay, it's coming out once more.
Where does it should come here?
It should come on the screen itself, right?
One second. We've sent it now again. Has it come up?
No.
It's been sent to Eureka.
We are Eureka.
We are at Eureka. 1 second. Okay.
Sorry,
yes.
All right.
1 second.
1 second.
No problem. Everybody is clapping for you, cheering for you. You can do this. Authors of children's books can do anything. Independent booksellers even more so. But I'm just going to call out the comments. Joanne Saldana says this is Eureka. There you are.
Yes, got it. Finally.
All possible. Sunila Kulkarni. You may need to switch the camera, Shyam says. There's a white space, apparently. Now, I can't see it. I'm just hearing what they're saying.
Now what? Shyam has to come to our rescue.
Is there a white space? I mean, can we just proceed with the white space?
Is it on here?
Oh, we're not able to see you. You may switch the camera on the phone, perhaps. That's it.
Phone camera.
Yeah.
No, now it's gone.
What do they have to do to switch the camera there? Please tell me.
I don't see them.
No, but what do they have to do to switch?
Now it's on.
There. Okay, the next book is a manual on how to get on Instagram easily. Too many people cheering for all of you. Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj, Shruti Sri Raghunath, just too many for me to even call out. Jyoti Narayan, big hello to Swati and Venki, Arunji, Sunila Kulkarni, just too many people singing your praises and welcoming you up on the show. Shyam's just going to keep putting them up. Archana Atri saying, good morning, Swati and Venki. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a quick, small video that's meant for you more than all of us. We want you to view it before we get started. Shyam. He has only 2 hands. The next manual is like multi-handed goddesses. I think Instagram's gone off again, is it? Wait, let him play the video.
Invitation expired. Wait, 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 wait.
That's it. We are delighted to do the online launch. I mean, I wish we could do it being in the same place, but I'm sure there'll be something that happens at Eureka. And of course, you say they've gone off. Okay, we've sent you an invite on Instagram again because you've gone off Instagram. So see if you can accept that invite.
We have.
We have.
Are they back?
Are we back?
No, it's flashing black again.
Now it's flashing white.
Funky rainbow. Is it okay?
Yes.
No? Okay, sorry. One last time we'll try the invite on Insta. If it doesn't work, then shall we just send them an invitation again?
It said your invitation expired.
We've sent it out again. A live invitation. Yes. Yay, hooray. You're there. And before it decides to change its mind, let's so to anyone who probably doesn't know, I mean, I don't know if such people exist even in this universe who don't know Swati and Venki. Well, the founders of Buckaroo, the multi-city literature festival, children's literature festival, that has really launched 1 million books, I think, in the number of years. You're celebrating your 10th year this year, isn't it, at Buckaroo? So you can just imagine, how many books and how many creative people's, authors and illustrators have been launched and showcased at Buckaroo. They also run Eureka, an independent children's bookstore, and we are so delighted that they are now authors of this lovely book, The Time Has Come, with a very, very interesting theme. I believe it's probably the first one for Indian children, really. But we will, get talking with Swati and Venki about the book. This is perhaps, like I said, Swati and Venki, the first book in the Indian children's publishing space about child-friendly cities, about children voicing their opinions and influencing all aspects of a city. Tell us, how did you think of this unusual and interesting theme?
See, it's basically the book is based on what we observed during our stay in Delhi and other cities. So it's a collection of how we see what we see in a city or a town, and then we put it together in a book. But to go back a little, in 2017, I think we were in. There's a magazine called My Livable City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they had asked us to write a column about how we use spaces in Buckaroo, the festival, and how do we identify spaces. So one of the things that came out was the space ideally has to be friendly to children. It has to be a happy place, and we didn't know much about livability. And the fact is, if you look at the book, the cover or the blurb, nowhere does it say livability. It sounds too technical. In fact, yeah. So it says the protagonists in the story, they want a city where they are more of what is the thing?
They care. The
city that cares for them, cares for everybody. So and the founder of My Livable City, Shyam Khandekar. So he asked us, why don't you think of that 2 years ago? Why don't you think of writing a book on livable spaces and for children?
And I think that time he said about Buckaroo, how you choose the space,
That's why we wrote that article in 2007.
So I'm saying that you didn't mention.
Yeah. So based on that, we started this book, thought about this. But otherwise in Eureka, we have been doing stuff, thinking of, we won't call it livability, but thinking of accessibility and children in mind, keeping children in mind. So
in fact, it is like almost like an extension of, as he said, the word livability was not in our minds.
Mm-hmm.
It was just about how the community reacts to the environment. When we come to a bookstore or we go out to the market, because we have always been a community bookstore in that area. And in that sense, whatever woes that the community has are woes of us also. So we would just be more receptive to hearing that. For instance, I think in the previous bookshop, we used to have a flood every monsoon. So somebody had actually said, you can have free home delivery on boats or something. So it was that kind of, it was like a little, the area was such that water used to collect and it used to enter. In fact, one of the last bad experiences in that bookshop was that we lost a lot of books and our computers and all because we just couldn't retrieve.
Now, we keep losing books every year to the flood.
Yeah, that time we used
As
to.
we apportion an amount saying, okay, this goes in the flood release.
But
Every year.
there was nothing we could have done about it because it required much bigger infrastructural changes. But to just bring home the point that it was so all this while the issues that were coming to mind were that those of livability issues till till Venki wrote that article for My Livable City, until Sham got in touch with us and said that what you actually said is part of what they do. And then
So they supported this book.
yes,
That's how
it came about, and said, why don't you expand it to say, basically to put your thoughts together. And when we actually sat down to put our thoughts together, we realized that we had been, let's say, dealing or interacting on these issues almost on a daily basis. So why not put it together? And because it's a children's bookstore and children's festival, therefore, interacting with children comes easier rather than outside or official or let's say professional fora or anything of that. So that doesn't happen as much as somebody walks in and says, oh my god, something's not working, and so that we just put together everything. And these are just ideas that we put together.
Because every city has a problem.
Of
And the
course.
thing is, we look at it as how can we beat the problem today? We don't think of a solution. Many people don't think. We also didn't. Like the other day when we were discussing, Swati was telling about the lady who had parked a car on the wrong side, so that it's closer to the shop. And when we asked her why, she said, no, it's dangerous for my child to cross the road and get into the store. So it's not our fault. It's the thing. The thing is, it's there. It's the elephant is there. So we need to somehow talk about it, discuss it.
Absolutely. Actually, it is, I mean, you have raised so many important issues of, I think, your Instagram, huh? Sorry? There's feedback on your Instagram screen, guys. Were you able to put up that headphone by any chance? I can see, Archana Atri saying that they are on YouTube larger than life. Sunila Kulkarni wants to send a thank you. She says, finally, I get to say thank you to Venki for the review on my book in Mint Lounge in 2011. She is sending you the thank you 10 years later. I'm delighted by a book Buzzaar, a story set in the Indus Valley civilization. I was so surprised and thrilled. Thank you for that, Venki, from Sunila to you on Book Buzzaar.
Great book, Sunila. You don't have
and Shantanu Datta Gupta saying, hello, gang, long time no see. Absolutely. Took a break to set right, to make Funky Rainbow more livable, MIS systems and inventory and stock taking and all those things that needed to get done across the last 2 months. If they're back, is it okay? Shall I go on with the second question?
We are not back live, I think, on Instagram.
Sham, we need an invitation again.
Sham, please invite us.
Why does the invite keep expiring like this? I have no idea. But anyways, we'll send it once more and move on to the next.
Crash now.
It's done again.
It's come to you?
Yeah.
I think the chat is definitely more about Instagram only. Like, okay.
And Swati is off stage
It's okay. Now we can't move all of that and adjust. So are they back? Is it back? Okay, fine. So, what I wanted to ask you was, there are these larger themes, and we did recommendations right through the thing on places to walk, places to play, places to, to feel safe, to be able to take public transport. But actually, the book is about the adventures of Vivek and Neil. I mean, they're two good friends, and one of them has to move away to another place, and the other one is feeling quite bad about it. Tell us a little bit about the story of the book, and also tell us these wonderful interactive elements. I mean, for us, the books that we wanted to recommend came on a platter based on some wonderful interactive elements that you've put in your book. So tell our audiences a little bit about it.
Okay, like I said, it's about the book. The book basically talks about what makes a city more comfortable for you to live in. So the only way to address this would be probably have a conversation with our readers. Every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but this one doesn't have an end to it. The end it will continue, because as the children get in touch, unless we have those questions which they can probably think and ask their whoever surrounds them, and then the discussion increases. It goes like all over the place, and then they come back to us, we discussed it with them. So that's how the story goes. And Vivek and Neil are regular children, basically
Of course.
regular, and they have their own, they have their interests, but they seem to have a, because of the, probably because of the parents, they have a interest in understanding more about what we call livability in this, and they also ask questions about the parents, which are answered inside the story itself.
Hmm.
These questions are we had to make it, we had to make them talk to us, or and we can forward it to other people who can, who are experts, who can give us answers, or that is something happening. If this question, they look at a question as, oh, is it happening in my city or my town, can I ask somebody,
Hmm.
like we gave that example about the Cologne declaration where the children were asked for their opinions, so basically it's a discuss, something to discuss about. It's not just a,
Yeah,
not just a book. Yeah.
I wanted to add that, to expect that this will have some kind of a climax or a story in that sense. The story is, I mean, unfortunately, it's a story with a purpose. So it's
Right.
not so much of a story as much as just weaving in the ideas in a kind of a setting, some kind of a backdrop. So Vivek and Neil could be any of the children who are reading the stories, and they can create their own stories out of it. Every protagonist in the story could be actually existing in that child's um, oft used word ecosystem. So it could be a teacher, it could be somebody who's who could be a mentor, they can talk to, they can always form that group themselves. So it's an ongoing story, as Venki said, that people should be able to pick up ideas from it, and just form their own groups and do things. And really, really speaking, it's about that. It's about putting together all those thoughts. And frankly, Vidya, as we've discussed before this session, that most of the stuff has happened because we were part of some activity or the other. We were engaged with some real time activity, because of which that experience came to us, and we realized it's part of the livability, concept. And we could actually just talk about it, because putting everything together in one place, we haven't taken any names, no organization names are there, so we had to have two people talking to themselves and talking to each other. And then, oh god, they shouldn't reach a stage of talking to themselves. It isn't that bad. So yeah, so yes, that's what Venki was trying to say about the conventional beginning, middle, and end of a story.
Also, why we made it interactive was we didn't want to look like we're preaching to them and not involving them. So if
Right.
you ask, let them ask the questions, then it
Right.
becomes a discussion. Instead of saying do this, or I don't, why don't you go and ask your local councillor to have a park, or something, playground for you.
Mhm.
You ask them, ask the questions. So if it's there, then they can think about it later. Get in touch with whoever is around them. But
That's
yeah,
right. I mean, you have that lovely TTHC manifesto,
yes.
and you want them to write into you. I mean, I can see many, TTHCs getting formed in and around. There are a couple of children watching as well, and I know one of them is who interns with us as a dynamic 9-year-old who I can well imagine, would set up something in the community in which he lives. I mean, I think these are just some marvelous elements in the book, actually. I also want you to mention, I mean, we've spent a good part of the last 2 years, where, I mean, urban children, the reality of a lot of urban children has been, thanks to the pandemic, or, even after that has passed, to be indoors playing on on devices or on gadgets. But there are ways, and there are communities, and we initiatives that have been taken to bring children out, to keep them healthy, to keep them active, and to keep them outdoors. I mean, there are some excellent child friendly initiatives that you've outlined in the book. Would you like to share one or two of them?
No, it is
See, the most common example I think a lot of people would relate to is the Rahagiri thing. So it's called
Mm,
in different names in different places, but in Delhi it's called Rahagiri, and it started. It's basically a one day they take off and say we reclaim the streets. We like to be free, and we can bicycle, we can do yoga, whatever. Like the thing is, but Rahagiri is just for a day. Our thing was, can it be developed to become a way of life?
right.
Is it possible? So if it's possible, then let's discuss it. That was the idea. Then there's this thing about cycling tracks. So in many cities, I've seen cycling tracks appear and they disappear soon after.
That's
We are driving on them basically. We're driving cars, or we're driving bicycles, or motorbikes, or the e-rickshaws or whatever. But there's no sanctity to the bicycle track. So Can that happen? Is it possible? And then I
Lovely.
told you about the Cologne Declaration, where the
Okay.
children were involved. They
Right.
wanted children. The mayors wanted the children to talk about it. Come and tell
Mm.
them, this is what's missing. And they came up with a manifesto, which is, if anyone wants to Google it, they can see the manifesto. It's called "Our Cities, Our Lives, Our Future." The
Ah.
Cologne, the 2019 declaration. So these are
Oh,
the things which we have talked about. Then we talked about the library in Muskanpur, where Neil is.
yes.
Yeah, so
Which is what we loved. I mean, we loved that the last question was, is there a community like a well stocked?
well
I just
stocked.
love the use of those words because you know and we know how challenging it is to be well stocked in these times. We are, although I want to remind our readers, very well stocked on the time has come. Those the independent booksellers and independent publishers always ensuring that the books are available for plenty. So please do pick up your copies from Funky Rainbow. It's a book that all children, all adults will certainly enjoy. And if your children are younger than 7, just read it out to them. They will absolutely enjoy, answering the questions and listening to the story as well.
Vidya, there's a QR code in it, so the parents can scan it for them, and the questions can come directly to us instead of them having to send an email, which they can do also. They can send an
That's
email
right.
also.
It's good that you told me about it. I did check out that QR code. So imagine how interactive is this. We are using technology, but we are finally telling our adults and children what can we do to make our living spaces much better. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I know you've answered it in part already, but as founders of Eureka and Buckaroo, I mean, how has that helped you as authors of this book? I mean, I know you brought out a wonderful magazine called Heek many years ago, and I think a lot of the interactive design elements in the book, I can see that lovely magazine influence on it. But tell me, how has that experience helped you as writers?
See, Vidya, starting with the Eureka thing, Eureka, you just said it's 19 years old. So in 2003, when we started Eureka, one of the aims of Eureka was to have events inside this, whatever space we had. Earlier, the space was much smaller. And while we were doing those sessions or those events inside the bookstore, we realized sometimes the space fell short, and everything was about the community coming together. So we went out into parks, into community centers, into local play schools, or even the local forest that we have. So as far as that experience was concerned, and nowhere was it like a ticketed event where there was a lot of
Mm,
song and dance about it. It was purely people getting together, and that time there was no WhatsApp and all. So people would
correct.
just tell each other, and they would get together, and one parent would bring in 4 children or something. Things like that used to happen. So somewhere I think that idea of building a community space, if I may use, when I say space, I don't mean just restricting it to the bookstore space, but the
Mhm.
space of the community, wherever the community is involved, as I said, going to the community center, going to the market, or all of. So if there is a broken footpath, or if there is a forest, that a gate in a park which is shut, or it doesn't have a way for a wheelchair to go in, these were issues which were real issues which we were
Mm.
facing when we were doing our regular course of the work. So somewhere, perhaps these seeds were always sown, and we were talking amongst ourselves and creating awareness by at least debating it or discussing it. Oh God, it took me so long to reach here because of X. Or God, it's raining again. We have to get ready to prepare ourselves for the next bout of rains or something like that. So to that extent, all this came into the book. For example, I'll tell you one time. I sent Sham a couple of pictures, but I think it was too late. One time we collected all the children to actually paint a long scroll about give back our playgrounds. So
Ah,
we
there
took
they
that,
are.
yeah, we took that scroll, actually walked along the footpath to go to a particular park and say that you've just taken over the parks, all you adults. You said annoying adults a little while ago. It's truly annoying at times. And of course, there were lots of adults who were supporting that, and we walked along, and everyone stopped to see what is this they have done, and we just everybody use their own creative thoughts to put
Ah,
together a banner. And we took it, and then we stood in the park for a very long time to say that this is our space.
This was in 2014, I think.
14,
13,
yeah,
14, yeah.
2013, 14. And then
2014, is it?
yeah, and then we
Ah,
walked walked on a footpath just to say how bad the footpath is, that at every stop, you're
Swati spoke to
either
me.
tumbling on a broken tile, or a tree roots just coming in, or a some kind of an advertisement. So I mean, how do you say all this? How do you explain all this? That has it helped? Yes, it must have. I mean, I'm sure it has been. And as far as Bukaru is concerned, Vidya, you know that it's always been in a public space, a
Absolutely.
space that is easily accessible, easily identifiable, and a happy space, because
Absolutely.
ultimately Bukaru's aim was to sort of break down the classroom walls, so to speak. So there cannot be too many walls in a Bukaru event, in that sense. So therefore, that also is a underlying thought that we have when we choose a place. How can we make it into one of those places where you enjoy while you're reading? So yeah, so these kind of thoughts were always there, which helped us in ideating for the book and remembering the events that we went through in our lives.
I can absolutely imagine. Arun actually asking you a question. He's saying, with physical spaces getting limited and and urban spaces becoming smaller and smaller, is it possible to find spaces for the community? I mean, Arun, of course, before Swati and Venki respond, I'm going to say read the book, definitely. So, but would you like to answer that question? And of course, he says, Swati, much to your delight, I'm sure, he says there aren't any footpaths in Hyderabad. I do know that footpaths are Swati's personal peeve. I having heard many stories.
The footpaths are parking areas, actually, so the cars are on top of the footpaths. At least the front two tires are always on top of the footpath, and you're sort of yeah, I know, I understand what you're saying, but are there now no parks or anything? I mean, what we need to reclaim spaces which are there. We have to see it with
Right.
different eyes, and see that can for that we have to, as a community, have to get together and perhaps clean up, perhaps write to the authorities and say there is a space. For example, we have a space over here which is earmarked to be a library, and
Mhm.
for a very long time everybody's been kind of talking about it, etc. But I think now somebody's seriously sort of looking at taking it up. I mean, I've been in talks with someone to see if we can do something about it. So I'm saying, yes, of course authorities will be involved, and that is what that little inertia has to be broken, where we have to get. I'm no activist, I'm not saying we are activists or anything, but we are aware that this is the way it has to be done. We have to first get the community together, because you see, children can make you bond, everything else, even stray dogs and all, can make you break, but children can make you bond. So if in that case, if a community can get together on that, the reason for getting together, and then find a space, put your might behind it, you should be able to. Even one time, Vidya, I remember in Pune, I think we did the fest. It wasn't a great venue, but we did it inside a mall, which was kind of a defunct mall. But we found that space, and we kind of, whoever our partner was, we said, okay, we will make it into a, a Bukuru kind of space. So I think, yeah, we have to do it.
See,
Yeah.
the city might have, the urban spaces have shrunk everything else, but there are places where, like when we went to Ahmedabad, we found this place called Mill Owners Building.
Mhm.
Basically, by like Buzzaar, he built the building. But even the people who came to the festival said, we didn't know about this space, the space,
Ah,
that this space existed. Many people said that. Some of them knew, of course. Then in Jaipur, wherever we've gone, we've tried to find out. Even in Delhi, like the first, if we have come to the first and probably the second or third Bukuru, which was in Sanskriti. It
yeah,
wasn't
we
a
were
public
in
space, but it was a space. And then we
ha,
moved to IGNCA, which was one of the best, bang in the middle
IGNC.
of the city, and
Yeah.
huge spaces for children. Like, so there will be spaces, I'm sure.
Absolutely. In fact, when we stepped into IGNCA, I think we were there in the year when it was at IGNCA,
Yeah.
you were like, what? I mean, from this, like from this concrete jungle kind of thing, you suddenly enter this beautiful space, which just, it just leaves you awestruck. I mean, and the two wonderful takeaways from what you said, like, reclaim the space, ask, go look for it and try to see. Obviously newer spaces are hard to find, right? And about children really
Children, right?
being that center, that bonding, that bond that can get created when children are there. Such lovely takeaways from this. Of course, Arun responding, saying that maybe vehicles are not parked on footpaths in Hyderabad, but now they are used to overtake other vehicles, and Mutama wholeheartedly agreeing. Vijay saying, I've pursued this cars on footpaths with the traffic police, with pictures of the car, plus the fact that children and senior citizens face this every day. The traffic police inspector was very positive in his response, and we got the footpath back. No cars allowed. What a wonderful thing. Just
Yeah.
going and asking and talking to the the police inspector there sorted that problem out. And so the key is that we need to take that initiative. We need to empower our children to take that initiative as well, which brings me to the last question. Was, what most people watching the bazaar are adults, parents, teachers, librarians, basically. What do you think they can do to empower young people to do this, to be the change that they wish to see?
It will be a repetition, but we have to be less. I mean, we have to sanitize everything lesser. We have to let them be. And frankly speaking, if we even, like we say about books, no, Vidya, like you say, keep books around the house. Just allow them to handle the books. Don't tell them what to read. Don't. But keep the book around. So similarly, these ideas should be stuff that should be discussed at home, which should be in their earshot, or just come home and say that, you face this problem. I wonder what to do. I'm just saying from a very basic point of view, in a home situation, and then allow them to write those letters. The power of children to bring about change is much more than adults, because adults will always have some bias. Either the other adult will see some bias in you, or you yourself will already have it when you're writing to the authorities. Of course, they'll need guidance, but when groups of children get together, and this we are saying from practical, they needed guidance, of course, but from practical experience, I've seen that if they get together and they kind of, form a force, and
Mhm.
even go to the local, something, go to the market, you could even do something in the market itself, streamlining stuff, or just talking to some people and saying, listen, let's, auntie, why are you using a plastic bag? That's another thing that I have, it's so easy to make recyclable bags, something that
We
we
have
have
stopped using
just started.
paper bags
Yes.
Yes.
So
or plastic, or those mixed kind of bags. What we have
yeah.
done is
Use plastic, yeah.
we have a collective of women who use used sarees,
Recycle materials.
bags,
Yeah, yeah.
curtains, and all that. We give the books away in those now, not in.
Nice.
And we ask them to get it back also when they come. The
Yes.
condition, if you don't come back with the bag, you can't buy a book.
No, no, no. But what I'm saying is there are very small steps that can be started early, with the children. And then it's the schools are doing a lot already. Books
That's
are being
true.
read, books are being written, So it's just a matter of time, and they are already. Only thing that both of us feel is that one shouldn't think of things as a project, as beginning and end of a project. It should be part of life. You should question everything. You shouldn't think that I've submitted my project report and it's over, and an assessment has been done. It is considering the way what Arun said, considering the way we are, or the situation we are in, the time has come that it should be a ongoing process of thinking, of changing the way you think, of changing the way you stay quiet over things that could be changed just by asking, like Vijay Lakshmi just said, maybe just go up and ask and it can be done. Nobody ever asked, so that it didn't get done, that way. Or that lady also, for that matter, she was surprised, why I'm saying that. What's wrong in parking your car in front of a grocery shop? Everybody does that all the time. In the book also has mentioned how the cars go right up to the stalls in that Wednesday bazaar, So that is the truth. But if somebody says, why are you parked here or something, I don't know, without getting into a fight and all, but things can
No,
change,
it's
I think.
absolutely right. I mean, I can see, Vijay saying adults should follow the rules themselves. Number one on
Yes,
that list is breaking traffic rules when dropping children to school. Stop that, like,
yeah.
right? That's something that's there.
That
It should
really
be,
pains you, because you know that while you're talking to somebody and saying, listen, you're incessantly honking, or crossing
yeah,
the zebra, and there's a child sitting right next to the person who's actually arguing with you. It just sends such a wrong message to the child,
absolutely.
so if that can be done
Absolutely.
also, that's a quite a lot of job done. Yeah.
So even so subtly, we're saying, parents, please be the change that you want to see, because children already are. Shruti
Mm.
saying that's such a wonderful thought, that this should become a part of our regular life. I
Yes.
mean, it's so lovely that you have actually written a book on this theme. I saw David Williams from Australia commenting. I'm not sure, the comment just went off. I'm not sure he had a question. Um, I can't see that in this point size charm. Even with my glasses, I'm not able to read that one up here. It says it was only in 2007. No, I mean, he's I can I scroll back up here on my comment? Sorry, one second. He says it was only in 2007 that humanity crossed the threshold, which saw more people living in cities than outside of them, making urban livability more important than ever. I've seen sad maps recording the shrinking range of kids in each succeeding generation in an English city as the place becomes more crowded and less safe. But, but, I mean, that's why we need books. We need books that will inspire children, inspire adults, that will prompt us to think. In fact, that's what I feel it does. It makes you choose, like some options. It makes you think about those options, and hopefully, it will make all of us adults, children, and citizens of the country act. Thank you so much.
We'll also like to have thanked Priyankar and Seema, who's designed the book fully,
Okay.
and also the Daila Foundation, who
Supported it.
supported along with My Livable City.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the book wouldn't have happened at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
A big shout out to the author, and I mean to the authors, the illustrator, of course, who's done such a lovely job. There are, like, I love the spread, I love the colors on the spread. I mean, who's done such a lovely job of recreating the story, and to the designer with lovely interactive elements. Thank you, folks. Thank you for joining us. It's the nicest start to a new Bazaar season, in making us feel that we can actually make a difference, and your book really has helped us take that positive message forward
Thank you,
across.
Vidya.
Vidya, thank you
Thanks,
so
Shyam.
much for doing what you're doing. Thank you, Sham, for bearing with us. Vidya, we are in absolute awe of what you're doing week after week. I mean, we are trying to do that offline, but to be able to do this and get so many books together, so many people together, it's amazing. So thank you so much. We are force now.
We are on the same boat. Even if the floodwaters are coming in, we are absolutely in the same boat.
Yes.
I can see many people sending out comments saying thank you, Swati and Venki. It was a lovely session today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been
Thank
such an
you.
honor to at least launch your book online. Thank you, and we'll be in touch definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. So lovely to see Swati and Venki. It gave us immense pleasure to be launching their book online. I have just one, concluding quote, which was made by the mayor of a city in Spain, I think, and he says, which is such a lovely thought for us to carry back, with us. He says, the amount. I'm sorry, I have the wrong quote that I was calling out. Oh well, I seem to have okay, oh well, I seem to have not put that quote in, but I know exactly what it meant to say. It meant to say that when we work towards creating child friendly cities, what we are in essence doing is creating cities and spaces that are friendly to everybody, to everyone, that are inclusive, that are safe, that are environmentally friendly, and that absolutely are wonderful places to live in. That's plenty of food for thought for all of us. Do consider picking up Swati and Venkatesh's book, from Funky Rainbow. It's online, www.funkyrainbow.com. It's available at a special 15% discount for another week. So we would love to see this book fly off our shelves into the hands of readers, young and old, and see the change that we want to see in our cities and living spaces. We'll be back next week, folks, with another Bazaar. I know we just didn't have time to say hello and hi's. Are there lists of people to whom we have to say hello and hi? Just show it to me quickly, then I'll just quickly acknowledge everyone, because somebody wrote in saying that one of the nicest things about the Bazaar is that we acknowledge everyone's presence. So I'm quickly going to run through this to say that Thank you for watching us. This is our fifth season of the Bazaar. We launched in May 2020, and if we are here in June 2022 doing this, it's thanks to all your support. Sir Beato Libro, Narayan Swami, The Bright Bambini, Overlearning Story, Our Learning Stories, Appu Sambandhan, Himanjali Shankar, The Story House by Rashi, Kivo, Saru Sripuram, Riddhi Agarwal, Nandini Nair, Rachna Books, so lovely that independent stores are there, Raising Book Stacks, Rudresh Jairam, Kaveri Bojanna, Utkarshini, Kindora Toys, Asif, Anchal, Everesting, Zipreswala, Fatima Musafa, Joanne Saldana, Preeti Ramchandran, Arunji, Divya Menon, Avyukta Nameya Nair, Archana Atri, Tara Veeraraghavan, Jyoti Narayanan, Apurva B. Ashok, Sunila Kulkarni, Rahul Dikshit, Ponderous, Abdullah, The Cake Studio, Sahana, Shebanti. Oh my God, I wish we had a chance to tell Swati and Venki that Shebanti was a former intern. Mascarena's Savio, Sujita Krishnamurthy, Sarah, Gauri, Aditi Rao, Mamta Naini, Varsha Varghese, Gargi, Ankur Bashar, The Magic Couch, Rami Krish, Srishti Katyar, Storytelling with Veena, Blissful Soul Reads, Bharadwaj, Nomad Jules, Art by Nilanjan, Alagu Raj, Safia, Dilli Ki Diva, Kitab Mahal, Hina, Ration Kids, Mariam Fatima, Yarini, Shama Rao, Bukaru Lit Fest, Rupa Baliga, Vijay Rakshmi Ragaraj, Shruti Sri Raghunath, Muttama Devaya, Annapurna Das, Smita Nair, Shantanu Datta Gupta, and David Williams. My God, that's one of the longest lists I've read in a long, long time. And all kudos going to Swati Roy and Venkatesh Swami for this wonderful book and for this wonderful bazaar. Since it's the start of the season, I always would like to have you say hello to the team. The team remains the same. Just quickly come and say hello to, come guys and say hello. Sham, you have to, take off the...
I can't be there.
Yeah. Come, Netra. Come quickly and just say hello. So Sham Madhavan Sharada, absolutely the genius behind the technology in the bazaar and many of the ideas. Bharti Narayan, who ensures that our shelves are absolutely well stocked, and Netra, who ensures every single book is up on our site and classifies them. Muttama Devaya, our other founder partner, not here this morning, but that's the team at Funky Rainbow, and we hope to have a wonderful season of the bazaar with many, many of you joining us, right through this season. We'll see you next week with another theme, and till then, bye-bye, and think of your city and think of what you can do for it. Of course, there are wonderful books that can give you ideas and inspirational, that can give you inspiration to make the change. So many of you saying hello to Team Funky Rainbow. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week with another bazaar and another theme. Till then, bye-bye.